Bonjour à tous, aujourd'hui on se retrouve pour un nouvel épisode de Tips and Tricks. Je suis au Palais Garnier, où cet après-midi on donnera la 8e représentation de Peter Grimes et j'ai la chance d'avoir avec moi Rosie Aldridge. Did I say good?
Perfectly, yes.
Qui chante Mrs. Sedley, donc dans l'opéra, que la production touche à sa fin et je me suis permise de lui proposer de faire l'émission, l'épisode ensemble parce que je trouve que c'est une chanteuse fantastique qui donne beaucoup sur scène et j'étais très intéressée d'avoir son parcours en tant que mezzo. Voilà, donc on l'accueille. Hello!
Hello.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you for having me.
Thank you too for accepting doing this. So I have a few questions.
Yes, go on.
First, how do you feel about this production? Almost finished?
I know, well, this is my third time with this production. Obviously, I've done it in Madrid and at the Royal Opera House with Deborah Warner. And it's, you know, which a lot of us in the cast have. So it's been such a journey for all of us. So I actually feel quite sad we're coming to the end of the run.
Yeah, because it's the end.
Well, they go to Rome.
Yes, you
yes,
won't go?
I'm busy, so I can't go to Rome, which I'm very sad about, but never mind.
Yeah.
So, but it's, you know, we are a bit of a family, and also I think that the production, particularly here, has come alive even more. I mean, obviously it's been on a journey, so it's going to change, you know, with different people in it each time as well, but it's definitely come alive here somehow.
So it's your third time as Mrs. Sedley.
Yes.
How do you do to give some freshness to the role?
I think that comes from life experience as well. And, you know, when I first started playing her, it was right at the beginning of the pandemic and we didn't know if we would be allowed to perform. And, you know, so I think as your life evolves, you know, you bring different things to the role. I've definitely gone on a journey with her. I found her extremely difficult to portray and probably one of my most challenging roles. Actually.
Vocally?
No, not vocally. Just because she's a very difficult person because she's very easily made into a caricature. And I really didn't want to do that. But nevertheless, actually, I know women like her. In our society, you know, if you transform them into an opera, they would be considered caricatures. So it's a tricky one with her drug addiction, her anxiety, her, you know, her loneliness, her obsession, her mental health problems. You know, this is a very, very difficult person to portray without, we say in English, without sending her up, without making her a joke.
Yeah.
And of course, it is comic. And people say, oh, you know, it's very funny what you do. But I'm never intending to be funny. And I think that's the key. Otherwise, you lose her, in my opinion.
Yes. Actually, it's one of my favorite characters because she's always full.
Yeah.
You always have the impression that she's going to explode.
Absolutely. It's like an effervescent kind of under the surface the whole way through. And then, of course, we get to Act 3.
Boom.
Yeah, she does explode, which is just a joy to play.
So let's go back to your young years.
Yes.
How did you get into music? Did you always think about to be an opera singer, or just you never? And just one day you were like, oh yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah, no, I never wanted to be an opera singer. I wanted to do musical theatre.
Okay.
And from the age of about, 9, I think I did musical theatre classes and was in shows and did a lot of amateur dramatics and loved it. And then I had a very good singing teacher actually in my teenage years at school. I didn't go to a special school or anything, and she said to me, your voice is getting really big, especially in the middle. She said, I think, you know, it's early to tell, but maybe you're going to be an opera singer. And I said, no.
What age were you?
About 15.
Okay.
I was very disappointed. It's not that I didn't like opera. I did like opera. My mum has always been an opera fan and she'd taken me to see some things. And, you know, I thought it was great, but I didn't want to do it. I wanted to do musical theatre. Anyway, then I got a scholarship to go to a special private school and got a music scholarship, and the rest is kind of history. They dragged me kicking and screaming to the Royal College of Music. And they offered me a scholarship on the spot. And yeah, everybody else believed I could do it except me.
Yeah, that's the trouble. I have to figure it out.
Yeah, I'm not sure when I'll figure that out.
Yeah. One day I just sent my application to go in an audition, and I was like, I will never get it. And then I get it, and it was kind of my first audition, so I was like, oh my god, it's not possible, I can't do it, I'm gonna be so piece of shit.
It's that imposter syndrome, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think we all suffer from that.
Yeah.
You know.
And then I went there, and I went to the final, and I was like, final? Me? And then I thought, if I went there, if those people in this industry want to listen to me, maybe I have to believe it too. It's going to be hard, but maybe I can trust them.
Yes.
To trust me.
Yes.
It's a difficult process, but
it is a difficult process, I think so.
Yeah. So, as your teacher said that you had big, medium voice, you already know that you were going to be a mezzo?
Well, I mean, that's what I was told. I wasn't sure. People weren't sure for a while because I mean, you don't hear it in Mrs. Sedley because this is quite a low role for me, but I do sing soprano roles as well.
Okay.
So I sing...
Which one?
Well, there's lots of things coming up. I'm singing Kostelniczka in Jennifer. I have my first Kundry, the more dramatic repertoire. So, you know, and I've sung soprano roles, Shostakovich soprano roles. I am a mezzo.
Yeah.
I think, you know, because I'm not happy to sit floating a lot at the top, at the top. But, you know, I have a high C, I have a C sharp, and I'm very happy to go up there. And so I don't really like pigeonholing. I don't really like saying, I'm this, I'm that. I don't understand why we have to do that.
Yes, I completely agree. You just go to the role your voice fit in.
If I can sing it healthily, I'm going to sing it.
Yeah. I think we should think like that and not be in a box.
No. I don't like boxes.
Yeah. And did you sing some Mozart?
No, not really. No, I've never been employed to sing Mozart. I would love to sing Donna Elvira. I'd love to do that. And it's not by choice.
Yeah.
You know, this is the thing. You start out and you think, oh, I'd like to do this and I'd like to do that and da-da-da-da-da. And it's actually, what do people see you as? And that's often not the same as what you see yourself as. I sang a lot of Handel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was very good for me. But yeah, Mozart, no, nobody was ever knocking at my door for Mozart.
Yeah, okay. But I was asking for you about Donna Elvira because as you said you were singing sopranos or I was singing.
Yeah, and the character would be good for me because I like fiery women.
I can feel it.
Yes, I like strong women. I am a strong woman and I like strong women.
Yeah. So you went to Royal
College,
yeah. Yes, and then after you went to some audition?
Well, competitions very few. I hate competitions.
Yeah.
Because I'm not in this to compete with people. I'm in this to be part of a team and to sing with people. So I'm not very good at that, and I'm not competitive. Mm-hmm. It's not that I'm not ambitious, but I'm not competitive, and there's a difference. So I hated the atmosphere at competitions because I would try and chat to people and be normal, and everybody was sort of zoning like Olympic athletes, and I thought, oh no, this is not for me. So I did very few of those, but obviously I did a lot of auditions. Yeah. I mean, everybody does at the beginning.
Yeah, and how do you deal with the stress, anxiety maybe? Are you stressed?
Yeah, I get nervous. Yeah. I always get nervous for everything. Yeah, I have nerves. I don't believe people that say they don't have nerves because I think you'd have to be dead inside to not have nerves. Why wouldn't you have nerves? It's really scary. You're going out there and being vulnerable in front of an audience. Yeah. You know, I mean, if you're not nervous, there's something fucking wrong with you.
Yes, but it's easier to sing in front of people who are coming in to have fun and
Yes.
have
Oh,
some emotion.
so true.
Whereas to sing in front of people who are like, okay, are you enough good to sing in my house?
Well, in the end, I just used to have to go in and think, oh, fuck it. You know, excuse my language, excuse my French, as we say in the UK. Because I just thought, I have no control over whether you like me.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing I've learned as I'm going along, and I'm continuing to learn. That's why I love this job. You know, you cannot make people like you. You know, they're either going to like your package, they're going to like your voice, like your personality or whatever else, or they're not. And you can't control that. Mm-hmm. So the biggest thing that I learned quite early on was the auditions where I went in and I was completely myself. And I was actually, you know, I made a joke, I talked to them, I was, you know, I was me, was where I had the most success.
Yeah, I think it's very important to send the vibe, your vibe, you know, not to pretend to be something or somewhere else. In the last video of Hugh Montegrandel.
Oh yes, lovely singer and lovely person.
Yes. He said, don't try to be the next someone.
No.
Be the future, be the next you.
Yes.
And that's all.
Yeah.
And I thought it was very clever to think that.
100%. And I think everybody walks in and they sing their arias and they look a certain way. You know, after a while, I think I suddenly thought, no, I'm not wearing that. No, I'm not doing that. No, I want to look like this. You know, I just thought I'm going to do this my way.
Yeah, yeah.
And I did, and it worked. So I think, you know, show your personality, because people, a lot of the world now is controlled, the industry is controlled by directors, you know, and they want to see who you are. Mm-mm. You know, so if you just walk in as a kind of, you know, next, you know, then people won't remember you.
Yes.
You have to be memorable.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's my only thing I can say about auditions, you know, is, I try and have my horse blinkers on, as I call it, so that I don't take on any, you know, other people's crap.
Yeah.
You know, there might be a bad pianist, or there might be somebody who is very, very stressed and therefore doesn't behave very well, or you might be late, or they might be late, or there's all these things that are out of your control. So you just have to know what you're going to do and try not to let that faze you. That's, I think, the biggest thing.
Yeah, you have to be very in yourself. I don't know how to explain.
I always say in your zone.
Yeah.
You know, in your zone, and you stay in there. And that's what I say to. I have a few students. I don't have many because I don't have time. But that's always what I say to them: is that don't take on anybody else's crap. You just do you.
And so you said before that it's your St. Peter Grimes. Before it was in Madrid, London. It's your home because you're English. And now in Paris, and I guess you are traveling a lot for work.
Always.
How do you deal with this traveling thing and be far from your home, from your family? Is it hard to deal with loneliness? How do you do? Because we can't imagine how it can be hard sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I don't know the cast. It's not like this, you miss your family.
Absolutely.
The production is hard, the characters you sing, it's really hard, and it's difficult than you expected, so it's important sometimes to feel warmed by your love and family, and when you don't have, how do you deal with that?
I'm not going to lie, it's very, very difficult, and it doesn't get any easier. In some respects, I think it gets harder. I have a 5-year-old daughter, and you know, when she was obviously a baby, she could come with, but now she has just started school and she can't, and it is bloody hard. I think that the one thing that you have to learn about this job, and I always say this to young singers, is that at the end of the day, it is you and your voice, and it is a lonely craft. And I think that that's why it's one thing to have talent, which everybody presumes people have got if they've got to a certain level, but you know, it's actually quite another thing to be mentally strong enough to do the job. Particularly as a freelancer, I'm not saying it's easier to be on an ensemble, because I have been on an ensemble, and that's also very, very difficult in other ways. But, you know, you had to be able to go around and just be you and be on your own. And like you say, you know, this production is rare, where you get that kind of family feel, you know. And most of the time, especially if it's a Wiederaufnahme in Germany, you know, you go in, you do your job, and then you go out. And so I do a lot of meditation. I thank God for FaceTime and WhatsApp and things, because I'm always on the video calls to home. You know, like every other singer, you know, I just watch a load of Netflix, and I don't know, it's tough. It's tough to keep your brain
clear.
Sometimes it's easier than others. Some jobs are easier than others.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't think there's any recipe, and every singer deals with it differently.
Yes.
Some singers are very much, they want to go and be a tourist and see everything. And I do go and see things, but a lot of the time I find that worse, because I find if I'm sightseeing all on my own, there comes a point where I think, I haven't got anyone to share this with. That makes me feel sadder. So probably I know what I do is I work, because I'm always learning new repertoire, I'm always singing new repertoire, so I work blooming hard to keep myself busy. So when I'm not rehearsing and performing, I'm in my dressing room or in a practice room working on the next thing. Well, so I don't have brain space to think.
Yeah. What life.
Well, I know, you must love it, right? Otherwise, why would you do it?
Yes. Even after several years of work in this industry, are you sometimes dealing with self-confidence, or you're like, no, I can't, I'm someone is better, I don't know if I can do it, you know?
Well, I'm coming into 12 years in the profession, which is not much compared to some of the people working here. And what I find is that I usually say yes to things. You know, I'm quite good at knowing my own limits, and but I'm equally quite good at pushing myself, and I like a challenge. So I'll usually look at something and say, yes, I can make that work. And then I come to learning it, and I have a nervous breakdown. I think, oh my God, what was I thinking? And my husband will tell you that he says every single role you do, you know, there's always a point at which you go, well, I can't do it, that's it. No, I can't do it. And I'll cry my eyes out, and he'll say, yeah, you can do it. And then I'll get over it and I'll do it. So, you know, yes, I always have, you know, especially for the big sings, a moment where I think, who am I kidding? But then I have worked extremely hard on myself and being strong and trying to believe in myself. And I'm not comparing myself with other people. It's a waste of time. Because, you know, you're on your journey, and it's very tempting. And, you know, we were talking before we came on camera about social media. It's very tempting to look on Instagram and look at X, Y, and Z and go, you know, but that's their journey, and it doesn't affect you. You know, it's got nothing to do with what you're doing, and you have to try not to compare yourself. We all have singers in our Fach that we take a peek at times and think, what are they up to? And then I go, no, don't do that. You know, stop it. And I always send them a message saying congratulations, and because this industry is hard enough without us turning on each other, and you know, so I'm trying to kind of keep goodwill for people, keep focused on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you know, it's a dangerous path to go down, I think.
Yeah. Social media, it's a big issue. I took like a break. Because I am not addict, but I'm used to go every day and see what the others do. Yeah. And my journey is very long, as a lot of other one. And I'm like, oh, she did that. Why I'm not?
Exactly. All of that.
Yeah, and it gave me so good break time to have this break from social media. I was like spending time with my dog and going out, taking pictures and everything, and I was like, oh.
Living. You were living.
Yeah.
You see, this is it. And I'm very reluctant with social media. I was pushed into doing Instagram by my manager, who I love. But, and I said, and he said, look, you've got to come, it's the 21st century, come on. So I said, all right, fine. But I've never been on Facebook. I'm not on Twitter. And Instagram I quite enjoy because I've met up with old singers on it, and it's interesting to see what people are doing. But if I feel myself getting a bit scrolly, I think, right, go and play with your daughter, go outside, have a walk, stop it.
Yeah.
Because it gives me anxiety. I can feel it.
Yeah.
We
have to remember that it just have to be a tool.
Yeah, exactly.
And not like a lifestyle living,
And none of it's real. It's a pile of bollocks. Everybody on their... I'm as guilty as the next person of putting pictures of us on holiday, of going, oh, isn't this lovely? But what they don't know is, my daughter's just had a tantrum and fallen over. I'm just saying to my husband, quick, let me get a glass of wine. You don't see all that.
Yeah.
We're only presented with this sort of false... me sitting here now with 10 inches of makeup on or whatever else, we present, which is okay because that's what we do, but we present an image of ourselves and it's not the truth.
Yeah.
So we have to all remember that. That's what I'm saying to everyone.
How do you keep a good balance between technique and emotions, feelings on stage while you're singing? For example, you were... talking earlier about Mrs. Stanley to not making a caricature, but for other characters, it's, for example, I am trying to sing Charlotte.
Yeah.
And there's a moment, the tension, it's so big, and I am always almost following it, and I can't stop asking myself how to do it.
Yeah. I think it's very difficult. As I said to you, I'm working on Kostelnichka at the moment in Yennefer, and obviously, she murders a baby, and it's so, I cannot get through it at the moment without crying. Now, that's at this stage. So what I do is I let all that out and just kind of work through the characters and everything else. And in the rehearsal room to an extent, if it's a safe rehearsal room. I don't find all rehearsal rooms safe. There are rehearsal rooms where I know I'm going to experiment, and there are rehearsal rooms where I will work on that myself. Because for whatever reason, whether it's, a tricky conductor or whether it's, a director that has a different... there are always things. Mm-hmm. There are always things. So I work out where I'm going to allow myself to be vulnerable. And that is never intentionally on the stage. That's my personal view. It will happen, I will be vulnerable on the stage, but in a controlled way.
Yeah.
Because I've done so many gang rape scenes and I've done really, really difficult things on stage.
Yeah.
I've been pushed right to, and I will do anything. I'm quite, gung-ho about that kind of thing, but I really have been pushed to the edges of comfort. And you cannot do that by pulling... I was having this exact conversation actually with a friend of mine the other day, a singer friend, and you cannot do that whilst pulling on your own personal experiences as an opera singer. You can do it as an actor. You can do the sort of Stanislavskian technique of all of that. You can do that. But, as an opera singer, if you do that, then I feel you are going to lose your technique a bit.
Yeah.
So I try and keep a percentage of my brain thinking about my singing. But then for me, I have a huge amount of energy. I've also done straight acting as well as opera singing. And so I'm coming at it more from an actor's point of view than a singer's point of view. So actually, it's better for me and for my discipline. Otherwise, I just let myself go completely. It takes the voice longer to recover and you don't have time for that. So I think you have to be very careful. And I think you have to look at acting techniques that... I think Meisner is the one I have in mind, where, it's creating the experience through the physicality rather than through your own emotional experience. Because, there are too many other things that you have to coordinate in the body to do that
Yeah.
completely. Doesn't mean you don't go for it,
Yeah.
but within a frame,
Yes.
is my opinion.
Yeah. For me, it's really the tricky part to not fall in and stay really strong.
Yeah.
Not fall in this emotion and everything.
Me too. It takes a lot
It's
of time.
hurting.
Yeah.
And it's hurting me, but it's me, but not me. You know what I mean? I have to be up there.
You have to
be
be
here,
yes.
but me up there and not be too much here.
You have to be slightly detached.
Yeah.
Because you can't.
Yeah.
You know, people say, oh yes, but you know, you have to be vulnerable. You will be vulnerable if you're truthful. So if you're truthful and you learn how to physicalise the role, that for me is very important. Whenever I do a role, I always have a different physicality within my body. But I think also you have to be very sure of your I mean, obviously we're always improving our techniques, but you have to be pretty sturdy with your technique before you can let go as much.
What is the hardest role you sang until here? Emotionally, technically, both maybe together?
I think probably for me, because of my age and because I'm coming up to my big roles, I don't think I've been there yet. So, for example, a lot of the roles I've done have different challenges, but I don't think I've yet faced what I'm facing in the next few seasons, which is really epic singing alongside those challenges.
Right.
So, you know, I think for me, I really feel it's yet to come. Obviously, you know, and when I've done these sort of, Axinia is the role in Lady Macbeth and Sense, and you do these gang rape scenes and things, you know, that's very hard music.
Yeah.
And that's very hard physically. And I suppose when I did The Nose with Barry Kosky at the Royal Opera House and in Berlin, that was so vocally demanding. High C's and running around I had to be kind of running around humping poor Martin Winkler, what a lovely man, and doing all these insane things. And with Barry, who I love Barry Kosky, I love working with Barry Kosky, but you know, he always, which is what I love about him, demands everything from you, 100% the entire time, which I love. But when you combine that with how difficult the music was, I suppose that's probably been my biggest challenge so far. And I loved it.
Yeah.
I did wake up at night sweating and crying, but I loved it.
I guess we always love the worst and hardest experience because we learn so much.
Yeah, oh my God, yeah.
When you have a hard time in your life, personal life, yes, it's hard, you want to cry every day and I don't know, but it's always then you think like, that was a big part of my life.
Huge. And you learn from it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the idea. You know, that's what we hope to do, is that we can grow from these experiences. And, you know, it's like looking back and, you know, when conductors have been horrendous and made me cry or whatever else, and you look back and you think, well, actually, I learned a lot from that, you know, and that's what... So now, when I'm in the middle of something tricky, I try to say to myself, doesn't always work, but I try to say to myself, just remember that this is really shit right now, but you're going to learn from it and you'll be able to use this somehow.
Yeah.
So don't panic. Because remember when that happened and it seemed like the biggest thing in the world, and actually you don't care about that now. So try and keep some perspective. We're not saving lives. We're not doctors, you know. So it's hard. It's really hard though.
Yes. And I have my last question.
Yes.
What would you say to yourself, to the young Rosie, when she discovered that she wanted to do that job as an opera singer? She was maybe full of fear and inconfidence. Yeah. What would you say to her?
It's very difficult, isn't it? Because I would say, because a lot of people think I'm a very confident person because that's what I give off. But of course I'm just as sensitive as the next person. And I think I would say to myself that, you know, don't just fake the confidence, have the confidence.
Yeah.
But really believe it. And I would also say, I would say hold your temper. Because I'm a hothead and because I care so passionately about what I do and I want it to be right, I am guilty of sort of sometimes in the moment, you know, when things are going wrong, of getting really, especially in a tech rehearsal or whatever. I've got much better at it now, but, you know, getting really worked up and things. And I think if I could just, not with people, but just cross with everything, you know, and I think if I could just say, just try and breathe before you say anything. Then that would be really good.
Really helpful.
Keep your fucking mouth shut. No, but also, you know, believe in yourself, because I didn't believe in myself. And I think I became an opera singer by accident because everybody else said, oh, you know, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. And I thought, oh, and then I did it and found that I really enjoyed it. You know, so I think if I could have said to myself, have that belief earlier on that you can do it.
Yeah.
But then I'm still working on that, you know, 20 years later or whatever. So, I don't know. But that's the joy of our profession. We never stop learning.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you for having me.
It was so fun.
Oh, good.
And we have to have a lot of fun then.
Oh, we will. We always have fun on stage.
Yes. Moi, j'espère que cet épisode vous aura plu. Je suis vraiment contente d'avoir démarré cette série parce que j'apprends à chaque fois que je fais un entretien avec un chanteur. Donc, je suis contente que vous soyez de plus en plus nombreux à regarder ces vidéos. Et donc, merci pour votre soutien. Et donc, on se retrouve à très bientôt pour une nouvelle vidéo. To say bye-bye, I say bye-bye, like this. Bye-bye.